want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So what's required?
lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. You know, rarely do I want to keep these themes going, but we have a couple, and people just keep emailing Kyle about this, needing follow-ups to the cushion, and then we have a follow-up on the whiskey thief. Although there is a little house cleaning that we need to do on the 170 deal. After I addressed the 170 controversy, I did forget this. I have a pretty good memory, but I guess I did forget that when we referenced 170 in a more derogatory way, that's when Kyle and I were talking about Kyle's size, Kyle. So as you saw in the emails, people were like, no. It wasn't that you guys dump on 170 when somebody says they weigh 170. It's that when you said to Kyle, like, imagine if you weighed 170 and you just sat outside and coded and you would never leave the house. So, yeah, I mean, I'm being a little sarcastic there, just knowing that Kyle's a big guy. So we forgot that part. So again, respect to the 170 people. I had somebody else chime in and say, like, don't you realize that a lot of the best fighters are at 170? I was like, hey, look, I didn't say that we should round up everybody that weighs 170 and put them on like a deserted island. All right. But I did forget that part of it, Kyle. So that's on me. I don't know how we do a blame pie.
I agree. When I went along with that, though, I was thinking back to like when I would consider like fighting weight, like, man, you know what? When I was like the top of my game, I was like at least like 205 or like 210. And like, so I thought like, wow, minus 35 to 40 pounds. That doesn't sound right to me. So that's all.
We were being a little, we were being mean in a funny way about it. But again, you know, if we hear,
I was just shocked when somebody thought about me at 170. That's all.
Listen to your voice. Gravelly, at least 215. 250. All right. Whiskey thief update. And this went exactly how I thought it would. Took me a few days to gather my thoughts, so here we go. I feel like this will be the last installment. It's not even a life advice. I just think people want updates on these two stories because the cushion guy chimed in again. But we don't have a finality on that one yet. All right. But this is where we're going to do a little soap opera stuff here on the podcast. First things first, never guessed that Kyle's 250. Okay, great. On to what happened. As my last email said, the whiskey thief threw a party this past Wednesday at his house. It was supposed to be a housewarming party, even though he's lived there for a few years. Red flag. You know what? I don't even know what number red flag we're on here, but if we're doing it for the purpose of this, we'll say it's red flag number 1 for this timeline. My fiance and I took your advice and decided to have some fun with this. We want to know if this guy just had an off night or if he likes to party a little too much. We did not want to be the first ones there, so we plan on showing up about an hour after the scheduled start time. Facebook invite said the party would be from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., right? It also requested that guests bring their own condiments and sides for the burgers and hot dogs he was providing. He asked someone to grab buns as well. I'm all about carrying my weight when it comes to a barbecue because it can get a little pricey if one person tries to cover it all. So we bring 2 sides, 1 bottle of each of the basic condiments, ketchup, mustard, mayo, etc. And our own beer. No whiskey, though. We arrived and there's a handful of people there already. Everything seems to be going really well so far. The whiskey thief has a glass of whiskey in his hands already. Surprised, it also seems like it's not his first of the night. About an hour later, I happen to see the whiskey thief grab a bottle of whiskey to refill himself. I decide to ask if I could have a glass as well. His response is what got me. I'll give you a glass, but you'll have to supply the whiskey. All right. I don't even know how many red flags we've counted here. That people need to bring their own condiments. 2, somebody else grabs buns. It's a 3rd. Housewarming party 3 years after he's lived there. Facebook invite. All right. So the guy pours his own whiskey. He gives you a glass and says, you're going to have to supply your own whiskey. This man was not willing to share his whiskey. I told him that I only brought beer, no liquor. That didn't seem to bother him. So I walked away unsure of what just happened. He wasn't really rude about it, just said no and continued on. So I returned to the party. I definitely wasn't going to go searching for his stash, but I wondered what he would have done if I did. You should have. You definitely should have at that point. But you should have done it like 3 other guys. You just start drinking his whiskey. My guess would be he doesn't remember doing it to you. So he doesn't even realize. He may not remember saying that to you. This is where things get a little interesting. Right at 9 p.m., the music's turned off, and the whiskey thief announced the party was ending. I think almost everyone was still there at that point. Everyone. It was almost the same feeling as a bar turning on their lights at closing time. Everyone kind of looked around and began gathering their things. The whiskey thief stood by the door, holding it open while everyone was packing up. He didn't say much, but I felt pressure to leave immediately. There were about 10 people that were all leaving at the same time. As soon as the last person exited the house, the door was closed and the exterior lights turned off. The group of us were kind of stunned at how quickly he kicked people out. I guess in all fairness, the party invite did say 6 to 9. God, this emailer is so nice. Some of us decided to go downtown and grab another drink or two before we called it a night. We went to one of our regular places and sat down. Not 10 minutes later, guess who shows up? The whiskey thief. This man walks in, greets us, and acts almost like we didn't just have a party at his house. He asked us how our night had been so far, asked how long we were going to be out, and more. The guy had definitely showered and changed his clothes before coming out as well. My fiance and I just had one drink and we left. Things are going fine, but it was just an overall weird experience. I'm not sure we learned anything new about this. You sure you didn't learn anything new about this guy? He seems he might just be a unique individual who enjoys whiskey a ton, enough to not share with others. Good thing there's plenty of whiskey in this world. The good things, there's a good thing people like you exist. Look, there's no nice way of saying this. There's a mean way of saying it. The guy has a serious drinking problem. All right. Problem solved. There's no real breaking this down. And honestly, it's kind of sad that he could have his own party, apparently black out at 9 o'clock and then go out and be like, hey everyone, how's your night? Like that's pretty scary, but that's your answer. So there you go. That's why he kicked everybody out at 9 and there's no, you should text him in the morning and ask him if he wants to go for a run. Anybody got anything to add on this one?
How many bottles of ketchup were at this party? I'd love to know. I mean, if everyone's supposed to bring their own condiments, it's the whole thing was strange. But at the party, it just sounds like there's going to be like, it's almost like he did it to like fill his fridge or something. Like it's.
You think that's what he's doing?
Or maybe to get like some extra beer to store in the basement, because at 9, like people are like, well, this isn't going to end at 9. So everybody's pacing their beer out. And so there's maybe 3 or 4 more per person. And now he's got himself like 2 12-packs of a variety pack there. I don't know. It's very strange, but I just felt like you said everybody had to bring their own condiments. Like nobody's bringing their ketchup packets from their kitchen drawer. Like they went out and got a big bottle of ketchup, right? There's got to be like fucking 7 bottles at this guy's house. Strange.
Yeah, I mean, if you're hungover all the time and you have this problem, you're probably not great on grocery shopping, So maybe he was like, I'm getting low on mayo and let's have a party. I just can't believe that our emailer hasn't gotten together with other people. Like I would go to another party that he had and none of you bring anything and then just drink all of his booze.
Yeah, but I feel like he's have we figured out how they met? Like, are they high school friends, college friends, work friends? I forget because what are the redeeming qualities of this guy? Like, why are they even hanging out anymore? He has none. Other than just being kind of interesting if you're like a good people watcher and you want to see how this guy interacts at a party, which is kind of funny, but I think that would get old after a while. But there's no reason
I think it's already old.
With this guy.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's any reason to. We've never had more emails than the cushion deal. And the guy emailed in again behind it. Everyone, I would say 90% of the emails have been, his wife did it, his wife did it, his wife did it. If you read his follow-up, he's like, it is not. He goes, my wife is a clean freak. He goes, I splattered like a centimeter of tomato sauce on my shirt once while we were eating dinner, and she made me take my shirt off and immediately like addressed it with a stain stopper and then threw it in. He was like, can I just finish dinner first? And she's like, no, the stain is going to set. So he's like, for everybody that thinks that my wife did it, she didn't. But they haven't had the party yet. So I'm not going to read all of the cushion emails. A lot of theories out there. We appreciate your input on it, interacting. Let's read this one because this one's awesome. It's cringy, but it's so good. All right. 5'9", 170. Must look awesome. Used to consider myself a decent basketball player until I turned 24, 25 now and realized being a 5'9" shooting guard who can't touch the rim probably isn't that decent. And I was definitely not built different. I recently moved into a small town for work where I know absolutely no one. As many people did during COVID, I picked up golf as my main hobby, and I've basically become a classic golf addict who wakes up with a heart on at 6 a.m. to go shoot 95. All right. After my move, I go out to a local course for a round to play alone and get a feel for golfing out here. Fast forward to where I catch up to an older gentleman who's also playing alone. So we say hi and decide to start playing together. Whenever I played and be like, hey, do you want to play together? I'm like, eh. I mean, if the course is slow, obviously, if the course is not slow, then you get to team up. Round goes okay, but I could tell this guy was beyond eager to chat. I was walking while he would drive his car at my walking speed just so we could chat. It wasn't weird, except for the fact that instead of driving the straight line, the man wanted to stay so close that he basically forced me to walk diagonally to keep enough of a distance so I wouldn't bump into his car. Round ends. He wants to exchange numbers, so not wanting to be rude, I oblige. He calls me up the next day asking if I'm available to golf on Tuesday with him and his buddy. I tell him I have a tee time already, but he insists that I can switch it, or that he can even call the club to switch my time for me. I tell him I'll call the club tomorrow and switch my time over to his and hit him back after. All right. So our guy emailing says, I'll call the club tomorrow, switch the time. I'll join him. Right. You just feel like, hey, he's being pushy, trying to meet friends, whatever. I think we've all been there. We get it. Next day comes, I kind of realize I just want to golf alone, so I call to let him know. But as soon as I say hi on the phone, he tells me he's taking care of it and got my tee time changed. Not really knowing what to say and also not wanting to be a dick about one round of golf together, I just say, okay, sure, see you Tuesday. The man somehow checkmated me without me even knowing. Now it gets even funnier on the phone because after I say, see you Tuesday, fully expecting the call to end, he suddenly asks me, so how was your day? You would not believe the awkward silence that ensued because I almost let out an audible, bro, what? I had known this guy for 24 hours, and now I was talking about my day with someone I considered basically a half stranger. After my third time of trying to end the phone call, I finally succeeded, feeling a little weirded out. So now here I am wondering if this is just a nice guy who likes making new friends, or if I really should be weirded out. I don't want to be a judgmental asshole based on a few interactions, but the whole over-the-top eagerness thing just seems to be a bit odd. Am I being an asshole thinking this way? Is this me just being a jerk 25-year-old? I can't tell if I'm the weird one thinking the whole thing is a bit odd. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No, you're not. Well, I'm not going to use names here, but be nice to my friend blank. I'm totally with you on this one. How was your day? That scares the shit out of me on your behalf. So, I don't know where you moved. I don't think we have any, there's always an element of, did you move to the Midwest? Are you in a lovely suburb near the lakes in Wisconsin or something? Other people would be motivated by like, well, let's figure out what this guy does. Maybe a little networking. Who knows? Maybe he has a boat, right? We always ask that question. But I'm with you, and he's older. That's just a lot. Now, some people are just that way, and it works out, and they're really friendly. But I know I'm immediately freaked out on your behalf, and I don't think you'll be wrong if you don't feel comfortable being like, actually, dude, like you can just hate me for the rest of your life because this is weird, and I don't want to be friends with you. So I that's what I think you're going to have to accept that. All right, yeah, this guy at the golf course who is super eager is going to think you're a jerk. Maybe tell other people you're a jerk, but you should feel fine and comfort in yourself because that's too much too soon. Kyle, I'd imagine you wouldn't. I don't know. I have some friends that would be like, hey, met a new guy. He's 40, really friendly. I would not put you in that category.
Listen, if this was a dive bar and I was doing my first time in LA thing, and I was like showing up at 4:00 back when you would tell me to go home early on Friday, so I didn't get more than 40 hours or whatever. When I first moved here, like I would be all for that. I like hanging out with old guys in dive bars and then just being able to leave that thing and never exchange any phone numbers or anything. But this guy, it feels like, doesn't it feel like our emailer is like Steve Martin, and this guy's like John Candy in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and he's gonna like somehow end up ruining his life and getting his membership revoked and just being really sorry about it, and then somehow you end up inviting him to Thanksgiving dinner because he's lonely or something. It just seems like
Spoiler
this guy's
alert.
like on that. Oh shit! Well, what was it? The 80s?
Yeah, I'm actually amazed you even had that reference. You like that movie, huh?
Yeah, I did, and you embarrassed me with my Cusack thing, so I just wanted to reach back into the 80s and grab something else.
That's good. No, Cerruti, you probably haven't seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, huh?
I have not. Nope, unfortunately.
Do you hate it out of principle? Just hate it?
No, I mean, I've heard so many. I've seen Airplane, and I love Airplane, and that was the '80s too, right? So I guess it's just like that was my '80s movie of choice. I know it's a great movie. I know people love it. I just haven't seen it. John
Do you know
Candy,
that?
right?
Yeah. Do you know that Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is not a sequel to Airplane?
I did know that. I did. Surprisingly, yes.
Yeah, great movie. Great movie. Good call too, because I mean, basically, you just had a guy who, wanted a friend. What the hell was his name? Was it Lloyd? I'm gonna have to look it up now. Yeah, that movie, we've mentioned this before on the podcast. That movie takes a turn where all of a sudden you feel kind of bad. Oh, Del Griffin, Neil Page. Originally, I want to name him Neil Peart, but that was taken. Okay, I don't know. So, Rudy, you wouldn't have given the guy your phone number, correct?
No, zero chance. I don't like.
What would you have said to him? What would you have said to a stranger who was really friendly, golfed with you, and said, "Hey, can I have your phone number?"
Not looking for any new friends right now. Just not. Sorry, nothing against you.
You would have said that to him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's different for this guy because he's alone in a new city or a new wherever he's at. What's weird though is he's open to making friends. Like he seems like he wants to make friends, but this guy seems way too aggressive. What's odd is it's almost really hard. Like some people like talk about the line between like dating when it's like a little bit creepy or something. It's almost creepier with dudes trying to make friends with each other. Like when you're past college, when you're in your mid-20s, even your 30s, it's really hard to make guy friends, right? Because they're super judgy. It's weird. You don't. You have to kind of have like some sort of mutual interest. And if this guy comes at you way too hard, it's a put off. I'm sorry. I'm just going to tell him, hey, sorry, man, we're just not going to work out.
No, that's why I want to invent that app called Gaia, where it was just guys trying to meet guys, but that brought something to the table, where I guess Raya is the dating app where, I mean, Ben Affleck was on it, matched, and the girl didn't believe it was really Ben Affleck. Like there's some real heavy hitters on that. So if they made a guy one called Gaia, and then it's like, all right, played hockey in Sweden, 23 to 31. Like, all right, wasn't good enough to be in the NHL, but he's probably got some cool stories, I'm just trying
what would your friend dating backyard sound like? Yeah, it would be
that would be amazing.
Pick up hoops.
Your dream guy friend.
Yeah.
This is getting borderline. I don't know that I'd want my guy buddy to be a great pickup hoops player. Like, yeah, iron sharpens iron, man sharpens man. But I feel like, what if he was better than me? So that would be difficult. Unless you just
friends. You would not be cool with that at all.
Yeah, if my new guy friend was just way better at pickup hoops than me, I mean, at this point, he probably would be. I would like to not be asked to lend money. Would be one of the first ones at this stage of my life. Like we had a friend. Yeah, we had a friend who had to be confronted about never having cash. It's like, look, if we go to Chipotle, like you're always like, hey, can you get me? You're 30. Like you gotta start walking around with some more cash on you. All right.
Also, with Venmo, that's not an excuse anymore. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. What would your dream? I think Kyle's standards would be lower, but I mean that as a compliment for your dream guy friend.
You're probably right, but I'd love him to have a great place to hang out. That's really what I would love.
It sounds like
close
you
to
just
like
want to
walking
go
distance to bars. Mark Titus is actually a dream friend because he's now a beach guy. So we can just go to the beach and he's always got the cooler loaded up. Like he takes it upon himself to like be the host at the public beach. So he's like actually kind of a dream friend and he like kind of rolls with it. Like he gets his haircut at my shady barbershop now. Like he just kind of rolls with it. So he's actually a really good friend.
All right.
It's like you already got one. You're good to go.
Yeah. So you're big into like you're like if you go on a first date with a guy, Kyle, and you see a sick house, you're in.
Yeah,
is that what we're saying?
Maybe second floor porch. Smoking's not an issue. Or it is, but he's like, dude, don't worry about it.
Yeah, like it's an issue, but after a few bud heavies, it's like, I get it, man. You can go out.
Yeah, just stand over in the corner. Try to get it to go around the corner, dude. Yeah.
Just open a window over there. You don't care if you can cook or anything like that, right? You don't care about I don't think you care about the material things, but then you just said it's the house. So a good hangout spot, but you're not hung up on money.
Correct. Location, location, location.
So if this person doesn't have like a great career, you wouldn't rule that person out. You just would be like,
Most of my friends don't have great careers. Mark Titus is an anomaly.
Right. But you're a day-to-day guy. You're not planning out for the future. Because I could tell with me, there'll be some people that want to friend me up, and then I feel like it's like a planting of the seed for some thoughts later on. So Rudy, who would your dream guy be?
I would need somebody who's organized, because none of my friends in my immediate friend group have any like planning sense, which is why my wife is great because she does all that stuff for me. But like when we want to hang out and do anything, none of us are good at that. It usually never ends up happening. So somebody who could plan, probably somebody who leans a little bit Euro, definitely a soccer guy.
170.
Martino would be the ideal friend. He's single.
I
now,
can set you up with him. We have
please
mutual
do.
friends. Yeah.
Oh yeah, then where we go? People helping people.
All right, let's stop this. But I like the concept. All right, lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. We have Rasheed Wallace joining us later this week. I can't wait to talk to Rasheed. This is going to be awesome. So please subscribe, spread the word. And as always, Bill and I every Sunday night.